All right, we are live. So we were just talking about all the fun award shows coming up in Hollywood, and I just watched the SAG Awards, and that's the only one I actually watched the whole time because there's so many commercials. I can't take it.
I can't remember which one it was now, but Robert Downey Jr. won Best Supporting Actor for Oppenheimer, and his speech was hilarious. So, it was the Critics' Choice Awards because he was talking about the critics and how they have not been kind to him over the years with his conditions. But yeah, it was pretty funny. So,
Well, I
you,
think it's funny because there's no industry that has the amount of award shows. I mean, they're the only industry that has what is there, 7, 8 award shows, patting
yeah.
themselves on the back, which is kind of funny. So, anyways, different. So, anyways, we'll get started. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to the Dog Gurus Live. I'm with my friends and fellow Profit Network coaches, Carrie Campbell and the fabulous Samantha Palia. So, for those of you who don't know about us, we are the Dog Gurus. We help pet care businesses launch, grow, and profit. So, if you're a startup and you want guidance with facility design, hiring your staff, implementing a safe and solid dog evaluation system, or just simply preparing you to welcome that first customer through the door, we can help. And if you're an existing pet care business, we can help you operate more efficiently, reduce staff turnover, and increase those profit margins. And of course, last but not least, we also offer the #1 pet care staff training system for canine body language and positive reinforcement dog handling skills. So before we get started, I have to ask the audience, have you purchased your Business Breakthrough Workshop ticket yet? It's close to a month away, so make your plans, get your ticket, and book your flights because you do not want to miss out on this event. We are going to cover a multitude of topics, but I'll just give you a little sneak preview. So leadership development and staff management. We're also going to talk about top 10 revenue generators. I think, Samantha, you're talking about that one.
Yes, I am.
And enrichment daycare. I'm thinking that might be Carrie because that's her specialty. Training staff for sales conversions, and so much more. Look, without a doubt, if you haven't been to one of our events, you will have a blast and you will walk away inspired and ready to make 2024 the best year ever. So get your ticket now. And I'll go ahead and put that in the chat. So let's talk about the topic today. We'll switch gears. Today is about what to do when business is slow. And I know business is tough in the first quarter and it's easy to panic, but it happens every first quarter. It's something that you can actually make that time and have good use of that time, and you can actually prepare for that time. So we have a lot of ideas to share with you on how to get the most out of a slow period and how to drum up some business. So who wants to get us started?
I'll get us started. So every business, no matter what industry you're in, has a slow time. There is just no avoiding it. I think we can all agree on that. Like, you just cannot get away with it. The slow period, I know it's so dreadful because a lot of people panic about how am I going to pay my bills and how am I going to get my staff's hours covered and all that stuff. The greatest thing about slow time, in my opinion, it is great time to, if there's any kind of continuing education you want to do, it's the perfect time to do it. And this does not have to be limited to what you're doing inside your business as a business owner. If there's a class you want to take about business, if there's like a webinar, if there's a training, there is no better time to do it, because usually we're so busy, right? As business owners, we don't have time to sit and watch that webinar for an hour or get engaged with maybe a summit or something like that. So I got to say, I think that even though maybe you're paying your staff to even join in on some of these, if you're paying for them, it's actually going to make your high times even higher because you're going to have that training and staff already for the year. So I say, get trained, get educated at this slow time.
Absolutely. That makes me think of when Charlotte and Betty were in business in Dripping Springs, Shante, your neck of the woods. And Miss Betty used to always say, if you can lean, you can clean. So It's a good time to get those deep cleaning done, and just kind of take a look at the facility if there's any small projects that you need to get done. It's a great time for that as well.
Yeah, and I guarantee everybody who's listening out there, they have projects that they have been continually putting on the back burner because life is busy, life is hectic, especially when you're operating a business. But maybe it's time that you can really kickstart those projects that you put on the back burner and start working on them now. And typically those type of projects are big projects that take help from your staff. So while it's slow, this is a good time to reach out to them and start delegating to get that stuff kickstarted.
It's also a great time to get any of your like updated employee manuals together or your SOPs, a budget. I mean, there's a lot of things that I know as business owners that's time consuming, and maybe it's not necessarily hard, but it's time consuming. This is a great time to even get those processes and policies in place. And that's going to make your business like so much better just by doing that.
Yeah, you are singing my language because everybody knows how much I really love systems, because when I don't have a system in place, I feel like I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So I love that you said that, Samantha.
Partially it's because that's what I've been doing, because, for groomers, after the first of the year, we slow down, because everyone gets holidayed up, right? So usually with that slump in January and February. And so I've actually been working on my budget because it is time consuming, but it does need to be done. And it really sheds a light on for your upcoming year. So for me, it's a great time for me to start working on that budget and analyzing my expenses and my revenue, and even a great time to even come up with new revenue streams to bring in more revenue for this upcoming year.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
No, go ahead, Carrie. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think a lot of business owners that struggle with delegating, that this is the perfect time. Business is a little bit slower. You can start easy. You can start delegating those tasks that you really don't need to be doing, that it's not really an executive level task. And so you can delegate it to one of your employees or subordinate, and you can monitor it. You can kind of see, okay, is it being done to your satisfaction? You always have to know when you delegate that it's not going to be exactly how you do it, but that's okay. It may actually be better, but it's not on your plate, which is great. And so when it's a little bit slower, it's a good time to start introducing that concept, because then you're not feeling the pressure of having to get everything done that's on your to-do list, but also that, the staff may not be doing it right, or that you're not giving yourself enough time to actually go through that transition of delegating some of those tasks.
Yeah. And if you're not sure like how to utilize that slow time, why don't you ask your staff what their thoughts are? Hey, what do you guys think? Is there any projects that we want to get done? Because I'm sure they have plenty of opinions, right? So, yeah, I don't know. That could be a blessing or a curse asking them. But
yeah, that might be Pandora's box. You might be busy for a long time doing those projects.
That's true, but it would help them, get them involved, and maybe you could pick one of their ideas, something small to tackle to help them, just be a part of the solutions to things.
It's also a great time to have a company meeting, because I know a lot of time when there's staffing, a lot of times you can't get everybody in because maybe there are different schedules, or, when you're busy, you got people going on vacation, or you got, there's a lot of things that happen during a slow time. It's a great time to get like a company meeting together, or even like where everyone's doing something together to kind of work together as a team. Like that's another great time to do some relationship building amongst your team as well.
And you just said a magic word, vacation. Maybe it's a time to
you take a vacation.
Actually, when I was running my business, I traveled off season. January, it was like after we got through the holidays, I needed a little break. And I always took a vacation like the second or third week of January, and the prices are super low. So that's a good time. We're past that now, but maybe you can plan that for next year. So now I want to talk about, Carrie, were you going to say one more thing?
No, I was just going to say, set that vacation as a goal and accomplish it.
Yeah, Carrie's going on vacation next week.
I know. I'm going to Mexico. And when I owned my business, I used to always go to Mexico in January. So,
Yeah. So let's talk about now we talked a little bit about how we can utilize that time, but let's talk about ways that you can really drum up some business because, of course, if I was slow, I was actually more stressed than when I was running on all cylinders. So, I mean, I hated that feeling of looking at my roll call and seeing, oh my gosh, there's not very many dogs on the list, or there's not very many dogs for lodging or daycare. So let's talk a little bit about ways that we can drum up that business. Anybody have any ideas they want to shoot out first? I'll go.
okay.
So for my business, we were really big on outbound calls. So, we would create we had theme parties every month, and that is a great way. If you don't do that on a regular basis, now's the perfect time to try to do a theme party if you've never done one before. So the Oscars are coming up. We were just talking about that. So we used to actually throw a party called the Poscars. And we would have a picture with a red carpet, and we'd have a dog with a rose, and we'd have little tux outfits and stuff. You can create some type of theme event to have during a day of daycare. And what I would do is I would go through my client list and see who are my top, maybe top 100 clients that have been at my facility in the past 6 months. Have your staff give them a call, very friendly, say, how are you guys doing? We missed you. How's so-and-so? We want to invite you in for a theme party. Let me tell you all about it. And that is a really great way to drum up some business. Now, another thing that you could do is spring break is right around the corner. And if I were you guys, I would take a look at everybody who lodged at my facility last spring break and start calling them and say, hey, we love taking care of so-and-so. Last spring break, we want to make sure you have a great spot because we're about to fill up and we don't want to leave you out. So would you like to go ahead and make your reservation with us? So there's things that you can do that can really start to drum up business and get things really start working for you.
Yeah. I think another thing you can do is if there's something you've been wanting to try that maybe, what better time to try things out than when it's a little slower versus when it's crazy. So if there's like an enrichment training program you want to try, or if there's like a new, like you said, like a new party, or if there's any kind of like activity that may, you're not sure how to roll it out, that's a great time to roll it out to your people that are coming in, because people do like to try new things. And, I know that, a lot of times they come in, they're like, oh, do the same, but you can make it exciting. You can do kind of like, not a re-grand opening, but you can make a big deal out of it. And it's a great time to either, if you're trying to roll out a membership program, or if you're trying to do maybe a new kind of treat or trick of the month, like it's a great time to get like people excited to do just something new and fun for their pet as well. That can actually add revenue to the pets and the people that are already coming in at that time.
Yeah. Somebody on the chat was saying any daycare ideas. So those theme parties are perfect for daycare. But another thing that you were doing, if you've been trying to figure out if you want to start doing enrichment services, well, you could do like a special day of an enrichment activity, highlight that, reach out to your customers and say, hey, we're having a special activity this day. Would you like to come and try it? We think Fluffy would have the best time ever. So, you don't have to have a party. You don't want to do all that whole deal because it can be a little bit time intensive, but you do have the time now. But you could try with like specific activities or even an art project or something like that with the dogs. And
what I was going to say is that the old, stick a little canvas with some paint on it in a Ziploc bag and put peanut butter on the outside. As the dogs lick the peanut butter, the paint smears around, and then, little Pup Picasso. That's a very easy thing to do. And they get something as a bonus at the end. So they get to take home their little artwork and, put it on the refrigerator or put it in their office at work or whatever their choice is. But it's a great way to introduce that. It's almost like doing a beta test if you want to start really introducing more enrichment activities into your program, because you'll you'll start to see who are those clients that are going to take advantage of it. And if you can loop in some sort of activity that may actually help behavior, which ties into the daycare games that are going on. This is the last week of the daycare games, but when you're working on that gate boundary or the group sit, and the dogs are getting that constant reinforcement throughout the month of February, it's a great time to kind of introduce that. Maybe you call it daily manners training, but something like that where it's not really a huge effort on the part of the staff, because it may be something they're already rewarding on a daily basis. But when the pet parent starts to see the change in the behavior in the dog, that they're being more patient at home, they're not jumping up as much, they're waiting at a door before they go outside. Those are the kind of things that you can tie in pretty quickly and put a price tag on it, but it's not something that's really time and labor intensive for the staff.
Yeah, Mikey was just asking, she was saying, has anybody done a piñata? And you know what? I never did, but have we had one of our clients do a piñata? Have you heard? I'm trying to think if somebody
did one years ago that was shaped like a banana, because I'm definitely allergic to bananas, so we couldn't ever have bananas in the. So somebody made a paper mache banana. It was full of like dog biscuits, and
How did it work? How did you do it?
It was great. We just hit it. I mean, it actually took a baseball bat to finally knock it open. It was pretty solid, but yeah.
Did you have the dogs try to jump at it, or
yeah, it just, the staff was actually hitting it above, but then the bones fell out. So it was a milk bone. So yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yes, but yeah.
That's a whole new spin on a puzzle toy.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
Has anyone did like a pup and parent like movie night?
Those are so fun. Yes. We used to do movie nights a lot. We would do one for our staff, and then we would do one for pet parents. What we did was pretty specific, because we knew dogs who would get along. And so if we had one group of dogs that were there, say on a Wednesday, then we may invite them to come and watch the, like an hour-long movie or something from, 4 to 5. And then the next group could watch it from like 5:30 to 6:30. So that there was multiple showings, but we knew that the dogs were going to get along, and it wasn't like a giant cluster where there were dogs of different sizes and temperaments that would, potentially be a behavioral issue. And we just had a giant screen and like a projector that you would use to do a PowerPoint presentation, and a sound system. And then, it came out amazing. So we actually did a whole Game of Thrones watching party for my staff. That was pretty fun. The final season, and then the final episode. And yeah, that was fun.
Did you guys dress up?
We did. We all dressed up, and we made food from different things. You're the House Targaryen or House Stark. It was pretty fun. So
that's awesome. Mikey also said that they do canvas with peanut butter for birthday parties and parents.
I love it.
And they charge $10, which is a good point. So whatever you do, these special activities, don't give it away for free. You charge something on top of your daycare fee, because look, it's going to take supplies, and it's going to take extra work and payroll dollars. So make sure you put on some type of fee to it. Don't just give it away. And then that might start the trend and get your staff inspired, and you can kind of continually plan these events. And these events, when you do things like this, they really build brand loyalty. Your clients love you, and they brag to all their other pet parent friends about it, which can gain more business for you. So
yeah, if you have, and I don't know why this always seemed to be, but with my staff, we always ended up like with dogs that weren't very behaviorally sound. So our personal pets didn't come to daycare. So we would do like a weekend event where staff could come in, and we would do the whole like peanut butter, canvas thing. And then we would put those on our counter on display, because that was just a way to show pet parents, hey, we're doing this as an add-on today. This is what they will look like, the finished product. And so they had like a sample that they could see. And that was just another great sales tool. And it also just gave staff whose dogs didn't come to daycare an experience that dogs they were taking care of throughout the days got to have. So
yeah, absolutely. So, if you're somebody that's, the mindset needs a little bit of a shift, and you're feeling a little frustrated and you're feeling hopeless, there's a lot you can do. Really make an effort to switch that mindset, create a positive outlook for it, and really try some of these new ideas that we've been given, because it can really help.
And I just want to add, if you heard any of these ideas right now and you're like, oh, that's a great idea, like start planning it now so that you can implement them when you're actually slow. Because if you start trying to implement them when you're slow, then you kind of missed a spot where you can get the extra revenue and everything, and then you're kind of rushing it. So the best time to plan it is now while we're talking about it and we're thinking about it, and then you have time to like roll it out and get some marketing strategies and everything. So to capture as many dollars you can on it.
Yeah. And there's tons of ideas out there. You can go to Pinterest, you can go on to our library and check out, there's a ton of articles with ideas that you can do. We have, if you sign on to one of our programs, we have a lot of enrichment training for daycare counselors. So there's all sorts of resources out there. Enrichment is huge right now. It's very trendy. So you can find a lot of good ideas and instructions on how to make that happen.
So I want to comment on that because not only is enrichment trending right now, but it is so much better for the dogs. And this is an excellent time to roll out something that's super easy. I went on Amazon and I bought a whole bunch of these little tiny plastic cosmetic jars, and they had lids to them. Got a label maker and put like ground cumin, garlic, rubbing alcohol, all of these different smells that I could think of. And then I bought like a cheap plastic tray at like the dollar store. And I put all of these jars, there was probably 20 of them with different spices and scents and things, and stuck them in this tray. And if we had a dog that came in and was that dog that was going to come into the play group and just be like balls to the walls, excuse the expression, but just really take the group off the rails because their energy was so disruptive, that was the perfect time to spend the first like 2 or 3 minutes that dog was there in the hallway outside the play group and just let him sniff all of those scents. And literally that olfactory system was like on overload. And by the time that 2 or 3 minutes was up and they were done sniffing those different spices and things, we put him in the room and the energy level had dropped like 50%. And he was so much more appropriate. Mm-hmm. I say this from experience because he was a Frenchie and he came one afternoon a week. And, he showed up when all the other dogs' energy was kind of on the downward slope. And he was just like, but it was super easy to do. And there was benefit for us significantly because of his introduction into the play group. But also it was a benefit that the pet parents saw because he came home and he was tired, but not exhausted, because he used to kind of come into the room and his behavior was so crazy that I think he was going home tired for the wrong reasons. And it was just more of like sheer exhaustion. Whereas this was making him tired, but more in a mental exhaustion than just the physical side. So yeah, it was a great tool. And then we just started doing that as an add-on. And so anytime that you can, tag like scent investigation, $5, it doesn't even take that much. I mean, the spice tray you buy once and you can keep using it. And the staff time to do it is minimal. So that's a good revenue generator. Plus it's a real behavioral benefit that you'll see in your play group.
I want to add something. I always feel like we take advantage of the good dogs in our facility. And I want to say any or every dog in your facility can benefit from enrichment. So I know a lot of times it's like, the squeaky wheel gets, the oil they say or whatever it is. But if you have a good dogs, it's a great like reward for them as well. So that's like, it doesn't have to just be dogs with behavioral issues. It could be any dog in your facility.
Yeah, so at my facility, we took care of a lot of dogs that were non-social dogs. We called them human companion dogs. And they were just automatically into our enrichment program. They paid a little bit higher of a price, but that's because we offered that specialized care. And then the social dogs, they had the choice if they want to integrate their enrichment activities into their group play days. So we kind of just made it, that's the way it is for those dogs. And you know what? Those pet parents were so thankful. When word got around that that's what we do for those non-social dogs, we were the number one place to go. So
yeah, being a grooming facility, we are the first enrichment-based facility in the nation that was actually where we came enrichment based. So if you have even a multi-service It doesn't have to be boarding and daycare. You can keep that branding going into your grooming facility as well. And it's really going to benefit your grooming staff or your bathers or whomever you have doing that. So really think about like putting it in every part of your facility, because that's just going to be a huge benefit for your whole business.
Yeah, when I first met Samantha, I heard her do a whole talk presentation on enrichment grooming, and I was like, that is my aha.
I know, it's genius.
That's what we're doing. We're going home and we're implementing enrichment grooming. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's still being introduced, and it's funny because enrichment just isn't in like dog. It's not a buzzword just for like the pet industry. I'm seeing it in therapy for humans, and I'm seeing it in like, you know, elderly folks home. Like enrichment right now is a big buzzword, and you really should take like advantage of it, as you know, not in a bad way, in a good way, but really know that's what's catching people's attentions these days. So anytime you can incorporate it, you should.
Yeah. Samantha, I want to piggyback on something that you said about not, just focusing on, bad dogs or dogs that have, bad behavior. I always look at it, there aren't any good dogs and bad dogs, right? There's just, they exhibit good behavior or inappropriate behavior. And so when you have that kind of integrated into a play group, all of that usually is caused by stimulation. So do you have the right dogs in your play groups? And if you don't, then maybe you need to look at what the evaluation process is. And what Shante said is when you can identify a dog who's literally their physical reaction to stimulation makes them show inappropriate behaviors, then have a different solution for them. Have just a separate enrichment program, or have, like, I love that title, Shante, the human companion dogs. Have something for them, because that is another revenue stream for you. But it's also showing that you're doing what's in the best interest of the dogs that you're evaluating for your facility. So I think that's really key. And I think that part of what we tend to do is we get dogs in, especially in the beginning when you first open, you want to build that clientele base. So you may be letting dogs in your program that are a little iffy behaviorally. But if there's that one dog that's having such a negative impact on everybody in the group, then that dog probably shouldn't be there. Or you should come up with an alternative plan for that dog. And I know your staff, if you go and talk to them, they can tell you in seconds who the bad dogs are, because they're the ones that frustrate them the most. So unless you're giving them tools on really how to redirect those behaviors, or you're creating something that's a more specially designed program for that dog, they're going to just continue to be disruptive. And that really isn't fair for that dog to be at kind of that high arousal or stress level that they're causing those inappropriate behaviors. But it's also not fair to the staff and to the dogs that are not enjoying being around that dog. I'll get off my soapbox now, but
it could be. It could turn into a safety issue, right? Which,
absolutely.
I mean, it could turn into a whole thing if it's not, if this one dog's causing problems. So let's avoid those type of problems in our businesses, right? Like injuries can save. Enrichment can save you on injuries for both people and pets.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead, Shante.
I was just going to say it's going to be a lot easier for your staff, because they also, having hours of daycare on end for them to manage is a lot. It's a lot. So they need a break too, just like the dogs do.
So that's a perfect example. If you think about it from a mental capacity, right? The reason enrichment in so many different industries is becoming a buzzword is because enrichment is usually something that activates your brain. It's not necessarily just physical, and physical or mental work is exhausting in itself, but it's also something that keeps you sharp and it keeps you motivated to do things. So if you can do things that are enriching for your mind and not just your body, it's definitely going to give you kind of a better overall health look. And I think that's very similar in dogs, is that giving them that opportunity to really work their mind instead of just like running amok and playing hard all day. It makes them so much more well-behaved because they have to actually focus. I'm trying to think. Years ago, when they started using platforms in like circuses, so elephants on platforms and lions on platforms, the whole goal with a platform was to have a dog on it or an animal on an elevated surface, because basically they had to be aware of their feet in order to stay on the small elevated surface. So it's that whole calm feet, calm mind philosophy. And I think it's the same, you know, when you can activate the brain and really get them focused on doing something rather than just, you know, oh, who am I going to play with, or who am I going to go try and hump, or, you know, I mean, that they're just like, what else can I show that's inappropriate?
Why my mind flashed to a bar when you said hump, but anyway, that's for a different topic.
Yeah. Going on the human side of things, that would be weird.
Anyways, what you can do on your spare time.
Yeah.
All right, we're going downhill. I'll take it.
Maybe we need to circle back this conversation to its original title.
I know. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap things up. We're about time. So thank you so much for joining us. Last thing I'll do is invite you guys to join our Facebook group called Grow Your Pet Care Business Facebook group. There's just 2 rules. And that is be nice and no selling. We want it to be a platform where business owners can go and just really help each other out, get advice, get support, and just be a safe space for that. So please, I put it in the chat. Go ahead and join it if you haven't done so. And have a wonderful rest of your week.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me on today.
Oh, Samantha, it's always so good to have you.
Yes. All right. See you guys.
Have a good week, everyone.